My name is Beth. I'm 38, a single mother, freelance illustrator, the youngest daughter in a family where silence was louder than love. My siblings had degrees, spouses, houses in gated communities. I had a son, an unsteady income, and a mistake I once called a marriage. For years, I told myself I wasn't the black sheep. I was the only one honest about being lost. But some truths don't crawl in. They crash through the door. Mine came while I was standing in a daycare hallway, waiting for my son to zip up his coat. The rain outside had sharpened into knives. Seattle's sky leaned heavy through the glass as my phone buzzed. One ping, then silence. I glanced down, expecting a grocery list or a reminder from the school. What I read pulled every sound from the room. I'm moving to Barcelona with Giza. I drained the account. Good luck with rent. The air thickened. My hands went cold. Mom, my shoe's stuck, Ethan called, tugging on his Velcro strap. I nodded, kneeling like nothing had happened. My body moved. My brain didn't. Out in the car, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I drove. The parking lot blurred in red taillights and reflections on wet concrete. I parked outside our building, unlocked the door, carried Ethan upstairs, and kissed his forehead before setting him in front of the TV. My laptop came open like a reflex. Joint savings, $0. Checking, $214.17. Rent, due in 5 days. $2,200. Not a mistake. Not a glitch.
Just gone.
I called the bank. Ma'am, the account was closed by Mr. Mercer. Since it was joint, he had the legal right. My fingers trembled. Was there a notification? We emailed. But the request to remove your email access was processed the day prior. Wait, what?
Click.
Nothing to argue. Nothing to fight. He planned this. Sometimes the hardest part about being blindsided isn't the betrayal. It's realizing you never even saw the wind-up. I searched every inbox. Found nothing. Except a draft left open on Alden's iPad. Forgotten. Subject, separation assets, property exit strategy. To a law firm in Barcelona. So this wasn't a decision. It was an operation. I ran my hand through my hair, checked on Ethan, still humming along to some cartoon, completely unaware the ground beneath him had been ripped out. The sky cracked in two with thunder. Later, I stood in the shower fully clothed, water beating down like judgment. My fingers curled into fists. My mind sharpened. I wasn't just abandoned. I was erased. Outside the bathroom, Ethan's voice broke through. Is Daddy coming home?
Ian sweat.
Not tonight. I tucked him into bed, walked out to the kitchen, sat in the dark, dialed Alden. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I recorded a message I didn't know I had inside me. You didn't just steal from me. You burned the whole goddamn app. And I will find you, because if you're willing to disappear, I'm willing to chase a ghost. The next morning, I stepped out onto the porch. Something shimmered on the windshield. A photo, freshly printed. Ethan, standing in front of Green Lake Park, smiling. In the background, two people, Alden and Giza. I hadn't taken that photo, and Ethan didn't remember it. I looked up, scanned the trees, the rooftops. Then I whispered to myself, they didn't leave to forget us. They came back to erase me. The photo felt like a knife, sharpened with time. I stared at it for a full minute, too still, too quiet. Ethan mid-laugh, on a swing I didn't recognize until I did. The playground at Green Lake Park. A 15-minute drive from our apartment. The timestamp printed on the back. 13 days ago. My pulse skipped. Ethan had no memory of it. I asked twice. He just blinked, shrugged, went back to his cereal.
Cut scene.
I'm outside, breath misting in the cold. Phone in one hand, the photo in the other. The street was too empty. The silence, louder than traffic.
Someone had taken this.
Someone had been close enough to frame all three of them. Alden, Giza, Ethan, and me, apparently. Nowhere. Inside, I shut the blinds. Every window. Every door. Then pulled the curtain back again. Just enough to peek. Nothing moved. People don't send photos to be polite. They send warnings. I called Marla. Voice rough from sleep. You still got that camera access around Green Lake? Maybe. What's going on? Someone's back, I said. And they're not hiding anymore. By noon, she had it. City cam footage. Unofficial. Obtained through channels I didn't ask about. The angle was wide, grainy, but clear enough. Alden. Standing near the merry-go-round. Giza beside him, sunglasses on. Two put together for a casual walk. They weren't watching Ethan. They were watching the street. Cut scene. Same clip, 10 seconds later. A man steps out from a black SUV.
Buy it. Earpiece.
Leans in, says something to Alden, then points toward the playground. Alden nods. That was the moment. The picture was taken seconds after that meeting. Alden didn't notice the camera. He was looking at the SUV.
They weren't sightseeing, I said.
No, Marla agreed. That was a handoff. My stomach twisted. I reached for the desk. Anchored myself. People don't return to the scene of the crime unless there's unfinished business, Marla added. Or they want you to know they're watching. That night, Ethan brought me his drawing pad. Look, he said. I drew the lady from the park. My blood froze. Crayon on paper. A woman with red lipstick, black coat, big hair. Did she talk to you? Ethan nodded. She gave me a lollipop. Said I looked like Daddy. She told me not to tell. I tried to breathe through the rising scream in my throat. Did she touch you? Did she try to take you? He shook his head. She just smiled. Then she walked away. I kissed his forehead. Too long. Children don't understand grooming. They just remember candy. I barely slept. Checked the door 3 times. Set up motion alerts. Every creak in the building turned my head. At 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. No caller ID. I let it go to voicemail. A single message. 10 seconds. No voice.
Just the sound of children playing.
I replayed it. Listen closer. At the very end, a voice.
Soft. Male.
Not Alden. Target secured. Next phase. My throat went dry. This wasn't custody. This was an operation. And Ethan wasn't their son. He was their asset. The next morning, a second photo waited for me. Taped under the windshield wiper. Same scene. Green Lake Park. But this time I was in it.
Background.
Holding my phone.
Distracted.
Whoever took the photo had me in the frame. Dead center. Not by accident. I looked up. Across the street. Rooftops. A white van turned the corner too slowly. I stared too long. It didn't stop. Just moved on. But my skin knew the truth before my brain caught up. They didn't just come back. They never left. I changed the locks the same day I found the second photo. Deadbolts.
Chain.
Smart lock with camera. Still, that night, I slept with a kitchen knife under my pillow and one eye open. Because locks don't stop ghosts. 7:02 a.m. I opened the kitchen drawer to grab a spoon for Ethan's cereal. It was open already.
Wide. Neat.
But wrong. We never leave it that way. I stood still. Noticed the towel by the sink had been moved too. A half fold. Ethan tugged my sleeve. Mom, did you wash Bunny? His stuffed animal sat freshly cleaned on his bed. I hadn't touched it. Neither had he. I scrolled through the doorcam footage. Nothing. Except 2:13 a.m.
A glitch.
Screen froze for 5 seconds. Then resumed. Typical hack, signature. Whoever was coming in didn't need to force the door. They had access. I called the building manager. You never removed Alden's name from the lease, he said. Legally, he still has a copy of the key. What the hell do you mean I didn't? I sent the update form 3 times. It bounced. My voice dropped. To which email? He read it out. It wasn't mine. It was off by 2 letters. Whoever did it knew just how to misspell me. Marla met me outside the courthouse. Wind tore through her coat. Her voice was lower than usual. There's a petition filed, she said. Emergency partial custody. Alden filed it last week. What? She handed me the document. Petition signed with my name. Addressed from my current location. Filed online with a scan of my ID. Except it wasn't my ID. It was a perfect replica. With my photo, but a fake address. I pressed the paper flat against the hood of her car. How did he get this through? Remote notary, she said. There are services now. You hold up your ID. Record the video. They notarize. If the ID is fake, the system doesn't catch it. And the lawyer? Name's real. But she's been dead for a year. I stared at the signature line. Nothing looked off. That's what made it worse. Later that night, I unlocked the back door from the inside and left it cracked. I turned off every light in the apartment.
Camera rolling.
Phone recording. Marla waiting 2 floors down. This time, I didn't sleep. I waited. 2:48 a.m.
Door creaked. Slow.
Measured. A figure stepped in. Black hoodie.
Gloves.
Calm footsteps. Moved toward Ethan's room. I stepped out. Stop. The figure turned.
No panique.
Just assessment. Then ran. I chased. Down the hallway. Through the stairwell. 3rd floor. Metal door swung shut before I reached it.
Gone.
Marla sprinted in from the street, too late to intercept. He dropped something, she said, holding up a phone. Burner.
Cheap.
We turned it on. 1 contact. No name. Call log. 4 calls in the last 24 hours. All outgoing. All the same number. And 1 saved voice memo. I played it. Pickup confirmed. Guardianship papers forged. Flight scheduled. 5 days. I couldn't breathe. They weren't fighting for visitation.
They were extracting my child.
The world narrowed to one thought. They didn't come back for each other. They came back for him. I changed Ethan's routine. No more daycare pickups at the same time. No more walking the same streets. We switched grocery stores. I installed 2 more indoor cams. I thought I was unpredictable enough to throw them off. But someone was always 3 steps ahead. Saturday afternoon.
Cloudless sky.
A rare sunlit moment in Seattle. I took Ethan to a new playground in Wallingford. Smaller. Quieter. Fewer exits. I parked facing the park. Kept the engine running. Didn't tell Marla. She would have said it was reckless. But sometimes the only way to catch a predator is to bait them. Ethan climbed the jungle gym. I stood close pretending to scroll my phone. That's when I saw him. Across the street. Gray hoodie. Aviator sunglasses.
Bite.
Leaning on a lamppost like he belonged to it. Phone at his ear. Lips barely moving. The same man from the Green Lake cam footage.
Cut scene.
I snapped a photo. Pretended to yawn. Walked Ethan to the swing set. Called Marla, voice low. Green hoodie. Lamppost. Across the street. Wallingford. Don't move. I didn't. Marla's car pulled in 6 minutes later. She parked 3 spots behind mine. I saw her step out, hands empty.
Calm.
She walked up to the man. He turned, looked straight at her, then bolted.
Cut scene.
Marla chased. I grabbed Ethan, rushed him to the car, locked the doors, eyes glued to the mirror. 30 seconds later, Marla came back, breathing hard.
He's gone, she said.
Slipped into a construction site.
No cameras.
She handed me something. A torn page from a notebook. Crumpled.
Almost missed.
I unfolded it. An address. A company name. Helix Secure Recovery. Underneath. Phase 2, confirm guardian transfer. My hands shook. You know the name? I asked. Marla nodded. Private security firm. Operates under loopholes in custody laws. Mostly hired by ultra-rich families during overseas divorces. This isn't about custody anymore.
No, she said.
It's about extraction. At home, I looked up Helix. Their site was blank, but cached pages told the story. Asset retrieval. Discrete transition strategies.
Rapid deployment.
They weren't just watching us. They were planning to take my son out of the country. And they had the legal backing to try. Marla paced. They're counting on you to go to court. To fight their fake petition. While they disappear with Ethan through a private terminal. You think they'll use a private jet?
No, she said.
Too traceable. But there are other ways. 2 hours later, Marla showed up with a printout. It's worse than we thought. She slapped it down. Look at the hearing notice. I scanned it.
Filed.
Approved.
Judge assigned.
Date set. In 4 days, she said. I froze. I never got a notice. Of course not.
They used a shadow address.
Filed as if you already agreed to shared custody. You were served on paper. Just not in reality. My name was there. My fake signature. Perfect again. But this time it wasn't digital.
Ink.
Physical. Someone had forged it in person. Marla said it first. They're going to use this as a cover. For what? She didn't blink. To move Ethan before you ever step foot in court.
Cut scene.
I looked at the clock. For days. That night, Ethan slept in my bed. I held him like a shield, but couldn't sleep. Every creak felt like breath on my neck. Every headlight outside made my skin crawl. I whispered to myself in the dark. Fear only works if you freeze. I'm done freezing. Morning. I checked the apartment cam. At 3:06 a.m., a shadow moved through the hallway. Not inside, but just outside the door.
Paused. Bent down.
Left something. I opened the door. A file folder. Inside, court papers. Custody request. Filed legally. With a tracking number.
No fingerprints.
Just a sticky note. See you in 4 days. Or don't. My chest burned. They weren't hiding anymore. They were daring me to fight back. They're not fighting for custody. They're planning an extraction. The trap had to feel real. Not perfect. Not obvious. Just enough to make them overconfident. I left the curtains cracked.
Turned off 2 of the indoor cams.
Moved Ethan's shoes back near the door. Set the thermostat to 73, like someone had been home all day. People don't question details. They trust them. And trust is the softest place to hide a lie. Marla stood in my hallway, scanning the entry like she was profiling a scene. Which she was. I'll stay 2 floors down.
Door correct. Phone on.
No gun unless it turns. What do I do if it turns? She looked at me. Stall. And don't freeze. Freezing had become my default for too long. 8:57 p.m. I tucked Ethan in the living room, pretending it was a blanket fortnight. He didn't question it. Children don't feel strategy. They feel fear. And he was already used to mine. 12:13 a.m.
Door sensor blinked.
Unlocked. Slow creak. The hallway light stayed off. Shadows moved like liquid across the tile. He entered quiet. Not rushed. Not clumsy. A man who'd done this before.
Cut scene.
He passed the kitchen. Walked directly toward the hallway, Ethan's room. I stepped out from behind the kitchen wall. Looking for something? He froze. Only his eyes moved.
Taking me in.
Calculating distance.
Don't, I said. He ran. Fast.
But so did I. Down the hall. Past the laundry. Through the fire door. Metal clanged. I followed.
Cut scene.
Marla's boots pounded up the stairwell. She missed him by 2 seconds. But he dropped something. A phone. Burner. Basic. Scratched. But unlocked. We sat in the hallway, breathless, and scrolled. Call log, 4 numbers. 1 repeated. Recent file. Audio clip. A woman's voice, cold. Phase 2 confirmed. Guardianship documents filed. Flight scheduled. 5 days. Marla said nothing. Just handed me the phone. I stared at it. 5 days. She nodded. They're not trying to win in court, I said. No, she replied. They're using the court as camouflage. The real move's off the record. We went back inside. I checked Ethan. Still asleep. Still safe.
For now.
Marla poured 2 fingers of bourbon into a mug and sat on the floor. You okay? No, I said. But I'm awake. She watched me. You know what someone told me once? She said. The moment you become a threat is the moment they start trying to erase you. Before that, you're just noise. I let that settle.
Noise.
That's what I'd been. Until now. 7:42 a.m. I walked into the office of Gray and Haynes, the law firm listed on the fake custody petition. Receptionist. Glass walls. Smiling silence. I need to speak to Ms. Haynes. The receptionist blinked. Tapped keys.
I'm sorry.
She passed away last August. No, I said. Her name's on a petition filed last week. She froze. That's not possible. I pulled out the paper, placed it on the desk. I think someone used her name to forge legal documents. Behind me, a door clicked open. A man in a navy suit stepped out. Mid-40s.
Sharp.
Neutral. May I help you? Who are you? Blake Nolan, managing partner. I held up the form. Someone's using your dead colleague to file illegal documents to traffic my son. You still feel helpful. He took the form. Read it.
Paused.
Then nodded. I'll look into it. You do that.
Cut scene.
Outside, I called Marla. They're laundering the move through a fake legal pipeline. If we wait for court, we lose him. What's your next move? I looked down the street. Saw a van parked just outside my building. Same van I'd seen twice before. I'm not waiting. I walked across the street. To the van. Knocked once. Glass rolled down. The man inside smiled. Gray hoodie. Aviators. Beth Mercer? I have questions. Then you'd better get in. I did. Because sometimes, you don't chase fire from the outside. You walk straight through it. If I don't stop them now, I'll never see my son again. The message was short. Pier 91.
Dock 4.
11:40 p.m. One shot. No name.
No trace.
Just coordinates. We didn't go to court. We went to war. Rain hammered the windshield as Marla killed the headlights 3 blocks from the pier. We moved fast.
No lights. No voices.
Only breath. Only instinct. Pier 91 was half-shuttered. Most of the workers gone. What remained were cargo crates, flickering motion sensors, and the smell of metal and fuel.
Cut scene.
I wore black.
Hoodie. Gloves.
No phone. No ID. Marla held a zip bag with the burner phone we recovered. Inside was the key to ending this. One last illegal voicemail, this time from Alden himself. The papers are clean. She won't know until it's over. He meant me.
And he was right.
Until now. We reached Dock 4. Lights off. A truck idling. In the back, something moved. I crept up, hard in my throat, every step an explosion. Opened the rear latch. Ethan. Asleep in a cot. Seatbelt. Safe, for now. Tears blurred my eyes, but I didn't touch him.
Not yet.
Behind me, a voice. You should have stayed out of it. I turned. Giza. Gun drawn. Smile razor thin. You had your little life. Your little pity party. And now you're going to ruin everything because of a child you never deserved. I stepped forward. You're trafficking him. You forged documents. You sent men into my home.
All legal, she said.
Signed.
Filed.
Clean. That lawyer's been dead a year. She blinked. Alden stepped out from the shadows. But he wasn't standing. He was limping. Bleeding. What happened to you? She shot me, he said, voice thick with pain. She said I had cold feet. Jesus scoffed. He wanted to back out. Said it was too much. Said you'd forgive him. He's always been delusional. I glanced at Marla. She nodded once. Distraction.
Go.
I lunged. Grabbed Jesus' wrist. The gun went off.
Loud.
Echoing into steel.
But not at me.
Marla tackled her.
Fast. Clean.
The gun flew. I dove for Ethan, unbuckled him, held him to my chest. His eyes fluttered open. Mom, I'm here. I've got you. Police arrived 6 minutes later. Too fast to be random. Marla had sent the voicemail to her contact at the DA's office an hour earlier. Insurance. Body cam footage. Admissible. Undeniable. Alden was cuffed. Silent.
Jesus screamed about rights.
About privilege. No one listened. She tried to run. She didn't make it far. We sat on the edge of the pier, blankets around our shoulders. Ethan rested against me, half asleep again. Marla lit a cigarette with shaking hands. You know the worst kind of liar? She asked. The ones who think they're the hero in their own crime. I didn't answer, because I knew she was right. Alden hadn't fallen from grace. He'd planned his fall, step by step. But what none of them planned for was me refusing to drown in it. Weeks later, court dismissed the custody petition as fraudulent. Giza and Alden faced federal charges. Conspiracy.
Fraud.
Attempted abduction. Helix Secure Recovery disappeared overnight. Website gone. Offices emptied. And me? I stayed. Same apartment. Same neighborhood. But not the same woman. One morning, I walked Ethan to school. He held my hand tighter than usual. Are the bad guys coming back? I knelt. Met his eyes. Not while I'm breathing. He nodded, satisfied. Because sometimes, survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about standing where they tried to bury you, rooted, defiant. The last letter came on a Tuesday.
No envelope.
Just a folded piece of paper taped to my windshield. One line. You only won the battle. You'll never win the war. No name.
No signature.
Just silence. But I smiled. Because when they start whispering threats, that means you're finally louder than their fear. This isn't over. Not even close. But neither am I.